Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Meredith. For those new people that we have, I am so excited y'all are here today, right before the holidays. We hope you had a great Thanksgiving. We're excited to get into Christmas and start celebrating all of the holidays that are going on this time of year. Please come in. If you have any questions, let us know. Please let us know what store is your home store, your home gallery store. We would love to hear some shout outs from those stores. I know that employees from those stores like to see that their customers are watching and hanging out and joining us today as well. So please let us know that. Just as a heads up, if you see any links to anything that's asking for personal information, that's not coming from us. I have an awesome team, Amy and Ryan, who are in the background who are taking care of those. So just ignore those and we'll get those off as quickly as they come up. I'm going to give everybody a few more minutes to get settled in and we're going to get going. I'm going to give you just a little heads up about what my plan is for today. You know how plans go though sometimes. I'm going to be going over the new 5/8 quilt binder. I'm really excited about it. I know everybody's been asking for it and it's finally here. So we're going to do a little bit with that. We are going to do a little bit with sequins and sewing on sequins to ribbon. And then we are going to create some gift tags. Like this was actually one of my things that I was actually most excited about was making gift tags. So I'm excited y'all are here today and we're going to get going. So the first thing we're going to do is the 5/8 quilt binder. So if you do not have one of these yet, this is a perfect item to add to your wish list, which, speaking of wish list, before we get started, let me talk about that really quick. We have this awesome little wish list, and it is linked in the top of the post. I know Amy's got it up there. If anybody needs it, she can get that for you. You can fill this out for that loved one in your life. Of your wish list of things that you want. There's machines on it. There's accessories, notions, hoops, threads, needles, all kinds of fun things. So fill this out to your heart's content. This is definitely one that you want to add to it. I'm going to be going through that today and I'm excited to show it to you. So I'm going to go through, Amy, if you will switch my camera to my needle, I'm going to go through how to actually attach it. Familiar to a lot of people, but you know, it's always nice to have a little refresher, and hopefully I've got some tips and tricks that will help you a little bit better understand it and do binding on your projects. So first it comes with this little plate here. If your machine does not have a stitch plate with these two holes, it can be purchased. This attachment only works on class 8 and 9 machines, except for there are a few exclusions, which I don't know if you can see. Actually, you can see pretty good there. There's a few exclusions. It is on the top of the box that which machines still work with it. And then right below it, it has the stitch plate. So that'll tell you, one of these two numbers will tell you which stitch plate you need for your machine. Your Viking Sewing Gallery will be able to help you get the right stitch plate for your machine as well, if it'll work. So it has this little nub right here and a little hole, and we're going to attach that I have my hand there, right here. And then our first screw, it comes with 3 screws and 2 washers as well. So our first screw is going to go in that back hole right here. And you don't need a washer on that one. We're just going to put it right in there. And we'll just hand tighten it. It doesn't need to be like super tight on there or anything like that. And then this guy is going to go on right here, and I'm going to loosely put it on first because I'm going to show you why. So you have the washer and the screw, and we're going to put those in just loosely. I'm not going to tighten them down just yet till I get ready to go. And then try not to get my fat fingers in the way so y'all can see. Come on, screw, work with me today. Full disclosure, guys, I am not a pro. I would not consider myself a Karen Charles of the quilt binder or Mickey or Nancy, but I do play with it often enough that I know how to use it. This new one is a little bit different because it is more fabric you're working with for that double fold. So keep that in mind. There is it's still the same learning curve that you would have had with your original one. It comes with these 2 feet as well. It comes with the one for the walking foot on the back of the Epics, and then just the regular one. And keep in mind, you want to have a bobbin in here before you even attach all of this. I'll tell y'all, I was working on this a few days ago and I needed to change my bobbin, and I had already set it all up. I had my binding exactly where I wanted it, and y'all, I had to take it all out. I was kind of frustrated at myself. So this is still loose on here. We're going to slide it till we get there. But you're going to have this, with this quilt binder, you're going to have 3-inch strip is what you're going to have. And I've attached those on the bias here already just so we can get to it, but I'll show you. So I've got a stitch right here and I've got it folded in half. So once you get your 3-inch strip sewn together, you're going to press it in half just like this. And this bottom fold part is going to be on the bottom, and this part, the opening raw edge, is going to be on top. I kind of like this a little bit better, guys, because I always second guess, do I have my front of my fabric out or in? I always struggled with that, and I would always unintentionally do it the wrong way. We're also going to cut just a little diagonal here to help us feed it through. And I'm going to take my fancy little stiletto that I have. This is another extra, this would be a great stocking stuffer you can add. But we're going to feed this in here, and we're just going to push it through. Just like that. And we're going to pull it, going to shove that under there, just like that. And if you look, I'm going to zoom you in just a little bit here so y'all can see this. The difference between this quilt binder and the original one is, you notice this part at top is being folded under. That raw edge is being folded under. But this one, because you already have the fold, it doesn't need to be folded under. So you're not going to see that fold the same way you saw those 2 folds on the original quilt binder. So just keep that in mind there. That is how it's supposed to look. So I pull it through and feed it just a little bit just to get it, make sure I'm in my right spot. And I'm going to adjust this now. And what I do, I'm going to adjust this here so y'all can see a little bit closer. If you look right here on this foot, there is this little bar, little guide right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower my presser foot, and I'm going to just see where that lines up. I want my edge. I hope y'all can see this here. I'll point to it so you can see what I'm talking about. I want my fold right here to be lined up on the inside of that metal bar right there. And then we're just going to tighten these guys in. Just, again, hand tight. They don't need to be cranked down or anything. They're not going to move. So let's scoot this back a little bit. So I have made, and I wanted to share this with y'all. Amy, if you will switch it back to me. I have made these little pot holder trivets here. I didn't add a little hang to them. I just want them more as like something to set on my table to set, or my counter to set hot things on during the holidays. But this is a great, these little Redwork snowflakes that we have in the My Sewnet library, these are great for this. They're quick stitch outs, super fast. If you wanted to make these as a gift to take to a holiday party you're going to, anything like that, these are great for this. I finished these at 10 inches by 10 inches, just for reference if anybody's curious. And I added Warm and Natural in it. And I also added the Insole Bright as well, just in case somebody does use it as like a hot pad to grab something. But this is a finished one, and we're going to go through the binding. So I know that we've done the quilt binder before, but I know we still get lots of questions on it and would like to see it done again. So I'm actually going to do this entire one with you guys, and we're going to talk about finishing it as well. Right here, if you can tell, this is my finished edge here. There's 2 ways you can finish them, and I'll go through that with you guys. Are there any questions so far on setup or anything like that, or I can keep on going? You're doing good, Amy and Ryan? And Amy, I'll let you switch me. Okay, I'll let you switch me back to my needle view, please. Okay, so I also serge the edges of this. This is not required by any means, but to me, when you have layers of batting or Insole Bright or whatever project it is you're doing, keeping those together, having it serged on the edges is just really helpful when you're feeding it through in here. So we're actually going to start a little bit further down towards the corner. I'm going to pull my little fold that I already have here, and we're just going to place it in there and push it right back in there. And we're going to, we can feed it back and forth a little bit, get it into place just like that. And one of my little tips and tricks that I tell people is whenever you're feeding it, you just want to make sure that whatever it is, your quilt, your hot pad, whatever it may be, is right here in this little groove touching to the edge there. And we can adjust the needle as well. Amy, you don't need to switch my camera, but I just have a regular straight stitch on here, and I can adjust it left or right if I wanted to. You could do a blanket stitch, you could do a decorative stitch. I suggest when you are working with the quilt binder for the first time, doing a decorative stitch. It's a little bit more forgiving, and it will catch more than a straight stitch will catch, if that makes sense. I have a question here. That's what I'm looking at. You keep talking about the new quilt binder. I'm not finding a binder. Is there one that has inches updated but looks like this? I have one, but hasn't. Sure. There's a newer one. Yes, so there's a newer one. If you want to go back to me really quick, Amy, I don't think I clarified as well. I apologize. I have a new 5/8 quilt binder, and what this is it's a double fold quilt binder. So our original one was just a single fold, which is great, but I know that sometimes with quilts people want that double fold, that extra layers to keep it from wearing, things like that, long-term use. So we came out with a double fold one. So it's just like the original one, the same process and everything like that. It's just that you're going to be able to use a 3-inch strip folded in half to get that double fold binding that people were looking for on quilts. We listened, y'all. When you send in your suggestions, they really do listen, and I know that you appreciate that, and me as well as a consumer appreciate that as well. So I hope that answers your question, Cindy. All right, Amy, if you want to switch back over here to my needle. Full weekends ago, I think. I appreciate this. Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I know it's been a lot. You just really have to try it. Doing what I do, it's forced me to get out of my comfort zone a little bit. And sometimes when I get done doing things, I'm like, man, that really wasn't as difficult as I thought. So you really just have to try. It's really hard to hurt anything. So just keep that in mind. I have my binding over here. I want to make sure it's not hanging and dragging as it pulls, because then that's going to cause me issues here. But we're going to get going. I'm going to zoom this in just a little bit so you can see. So I have a straight stitch here, and I've got my multi-function foot control that I'm going to be using. And we can also engage our integrated jewel feet in the back too. That's what the opening is. And you know what's great, y'all? I forgot to do that, and my machine indicated that I should do that. So I love that the Epic does that, and some of our other machines as well. So we're going to get going here. And what it's doing first is it's locking in there, and then I'm just going to start sewing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew all the way to my edge right here. And what you can do here, there's a couple options. You can cut it off if you want to, or if you want to have that tail where you can feed it back in later, all you're going to do is we're going to just pull a long tail here and just snip that. And what I'll do when I'm done with this is I will come back with a needle and just thread those through. So another little tip that I learned is when you get to the end here, we're going to press our foot or put our presser foot down, and what it's doing is it's pressing on that binding that's already folded. We're just going to do a couple of those there, and I learned that from Mickey on one of her lives when the first time the quilt binder came out. So that's one of mine that I go to, and then I just finger press it as well there. So what we're going to do next is the corners, and y'all, I'm going to do 4 corners today with you. There's 4 sides, so you'll get to see it a few times here. What we're going to do is where, if you kind of look, it looks like a T, the cross and then down there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to line up. I'm going to first make sure I've got it where I want it, just like that. And I've got my little mitered corner there, and the same on the front. I'm going to work from the back first. And another little trick that I learned as I was going, where's my glue here, y'all? Here it is over here on my other side. Glue first. And I know that there was a little bit of concern. We get these questions sometimes. Oh, is that bad for my machine? Your machine, the needle's only going to go through that glue maybe 2 stitches. So we're not too worried about that there. It's not going to cause it any issues. So what we're going to do is we've got my little glue right here, and I'm going to fold that back, that mitered edge that I had. And another little tidbit trick is make sure that the back side is pushed a little bit further back than the front, just like that, because when you start sewing on the front, you'll be sure to catch the back, because it is, a 1/16 of an inch or an 1/8 of an inch, just a little bit further back. And so I'm going to do the same for the front. I'm going to add a little bit of glue, and this was the learning curve for this double fold one that I learned, was that it is a little bit bulkier. So just keep that in mind and just work with it here until you get it to where you want it. And we're just going to press it with our fingers there. And then I'm also going to take a pin, and we're going to put it about a 1/4 of an inch, a 1/2 inch down here. And what I'm doing is I'm making sure I'm going into the binding in the front as well as the back. And you notice my back is a little bit further in because I did push my back a little bit further. Oh, I pulled it out. So let's get that in here. And you don't want it to be too far down because it's going to get in the way of your binder, but you don't want it too far up because then you won't be able to put your needle in. You'll have to pull it out earlier. So that's the reason behind that. I have a couple questions here before I keep going. Do you think it's easier than, do you think it makes it easier with the new one? I don't think it's easier or more difficult. They're the same in regards to using them. Like I mentioned, the only thing that is just, I guess if you want to call it more difficult, I don't know that I would call it difficult, is that it is double. So you just have to be mindful of just a little bit more working with it to get it on the corners where you want it. Was this going? So it won't go on all Husqvarna Viking machines. It's going to go on class 8 and 9, and as well as the Brilliance, the Designer Diamond series, the Ruby series, the Topazes, the Sapphire, and the Opals. And it's on the top of the box here, as well as if you need that extra stitch plate. Just visit your local Viking sewing gallery. They would be happy to let you know for sure if you can use it, and if you can, get you set up with the right accessories to go with it. So what I'm going to do now is I've sort of just shuffled this back into place where I want it, and I'm going to lower my needle down right into that corner right there. One other thing that I found, and I'm going to pull my needle out, my pin out there, is that it is a little bit bulkier there, but we have great machines that have no problem going through it. So here we go. We're going to keep going here, and I go slow at the beginning, and then once I get going, we keep on going. And I always, because I can't wait till I get done, I have to look to see if I actually caught it. And I did right there. I did catch it. So I'll show you guys that when we get done with the whole thing. But we're going to keep on going here. So I can get to another corner and show you. But once you get going, it feeds through easily. Again, you're just wanting to make sure that the edge of whatever it is, your quilt or your project, is just nestled right in there into that edge. And we're going to go all the way to the end. And we are going to do one more. We're going to pull out so we've got that long tail to thread back into our project when we're done. Just like that. And what I didn't do on the last one was pull it out again, so I've got a tail for the beginning of this one. You can, again, you can cut it if you would like to. It's really just a personal preference. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to put our presser foot down, get a little bit of pressure there so it imprints the little fold that it's already made for us. And then again, I'm just going to do it with my fingers just a little bit more here. And see, I don't want to pull that out before I do that because it unfolds it. And as you're doing that, you want to make sure that over here, as I'm getting unfolded, that we're folded there. There we go. So I'm just going to finger press this here, just like that. All right, let's do another corner here. So again, we're looking for that T. I hope that makes, like, to me, that's what it looks like, is a T. It crosses this way and down this way. I hope that's what you'll see too. If you have another suggestion for what it might look like, let me know. And then we're just going to make sure our back one has our mitered corner here, a good fold on it, and we're going to take our glue and just do just a little bit right there on that edge. And we're going to fold it back over, again, making sure we've got our mitered and that it's a little bit further than what we want so that it catches it from the front. And we're going to do the same on the front here. And if you have any questions about this or about any other accessories on your wish list while I'm doing this, I would be happy to talk with you about those. And then we're going to get our pin. Make sure that we're folded under there. And about a half of an inch down, just a little bit there. Going through the back and or the front and the back, just like that. And then we're going to flip it back over, slide this in, lift our presser foot up. I want to grab those tails that we had and move them to the back so they're not in the way. And we're just going to, and you see how easily that just went right back into place how it's supposed to. I love it. Like all I'm doing is just shuffling it back and forth just like that. And we're going to lower our presser foot and adjust it just a little bit. And we're going to lower our needle down right there into the edge of the corner right there. And again, you can pull your needle out here. You can sew a couple stitches and then keep going. And again, we just start out a little bit slower
just to make sure we're good to go. And then you can take off and get going, just like that. And we're going to sew all the way to the end here. And again, get our long tail. Put that. Pull some more. Okay. We're going to feed this back in here. That way I can get it pressed. And you see, again, y'all, how easily that went back into place, how it was supposed to. I love it. So we're going to press this here. And we're going to do the corner again. A paper airplane. Ooh, I like that. The paper airplane. I know this is a little bit repetitive, but I know sometimes it helps just seeing it done multiple times to really pick up on it. I know that's how I learned, was just doing it and watching it a couple times. So we're going to start on the back here. And this one is not wanting to fold with me as nicely. There we go. Okay. But to your point, Cindy, I think it was, I don't think it's more difficult to use than the original one. It's just, again, taking that time to get your corners good. And y'all, I will tell you, I was so anxious. I did the other one just to show y'all so you knew what the finished one was going to look like. And I was so anxious that I would like miss every single corner. I didn't miss any of the corners, thankfully, when I did the other one. But I was worried I would miss the corners. Oh, I didn't do my pin here. And y'all, I have done it without a pin and I miss it. I don't get it. So I just sort of don't want to jinx myself. And I'm going to make sure that I pin this here, get this nestled right in there, my edge of my hot pad with the corner there. I even thought about that. I was like, well, maybe I won't do the pin today, but I was like, I'll miss every single one if I don't do the pin. That's just how it works out. Okay, here we go. So we're going to get our threads out of the way here. That way they don't get caught up in our sewing. I get that one. There we go. Okay, there. Okay. We're going to lower our presser foot again and put our needle right there in that corner. And what's great is it lines up with our original seam that we were doing there too as well. We're going to pull our needle out or pin out and keep on going. We got one more corner to do and then we'll get to the end. So how many layers are in the seam allowance? Oh, thank you. I appreciate it, Cindy. What foot are you using? I will show you that foot too, Doris. Just 1 second. So there are technically, let's talk about layers here. So there's 2 layers already because it's folded in half. And then there would be 2 more because this is folded over. So it looks like it's 2, 4, and if I'm talking about my pot holder, 5 for the top, 6 for the back, 7, 8 for the warm and natural and the insole bright, 9, 10 for the bottom fold. So 10 total layers we have. And y'all, my machine, I'm not using a denim needle. I'm using just a regular 80 universal needle. And we're going to go all the way, and it has no issues with that whatsoever. We're going to pull our tail out one more time. This is the last corner, y'all. So if you have any questions that I can answer for you, this is the time to ask them. If you want to see something specific on the corner, or if you would like me to try something or whatever it may be, this would be the time to do that. So again, we are going to find our little T here. Oh, I didn't press first, and you can tell I didn't press because look, my raw edges are coming out there. So we want to get that back in place how we got it and press those there. Just finger pressing that down so it's sort of imprinted for us. So real quick, the foot I'm using since I'm here at this stop, Miss Doris, is, it comes with both quilt binders come with this. They have the one for the Epic for the IDF here, and then there's the other one here. And these have the little guides, which I love. That's just what I base it off of, and then I move my needle to adjust. I don't try and force my fabric to go further or less. I want this whole thing to work with me, and so moving the needle is the best way to do that. So that's the one I'm using here. And I do have my IDF engaged as well, which is really helpful. So here we go. Let's do our last corner here. So again, we're looking for our T or our airplane. I love that, the little airplane reference. And we're going to go to our back first. We're going to put just a little bit of glue here. And all it is, and nobody's asked me this, I've kind of been surprised because that's normally always the question. This is just a glue stick from your local craft store, hobby store, office store. That's all it is just a regular glue stick. And then we're going to check our front here as well. And put that down there. Just like that. And there's our tails. We'll thread them in back into our pot holder later. And we're going to get our pin in right here. Just like that. Okay. And we're going to shuffle this guy back in here. Just like that. Falls right back into place. Y'all, I just can't get over that. I know I probably have repeated myself on that, but I love that. That I don't have to sit here and mess with it to get it back into place. And we're going to lower our needle down. And I'm going to sew just a little bit before I pull my pin out. Because you can do that, but you do want to stop and pull your pin out beforehand. And then just keep on going. And this is where I'm going to stop here because we're getting to the end. We're on our last side. I've done all 4 corners here. So what we want to do is this is our tail here. I'm going to actually cut this down just a little bit. So we want to, where are my scissors at? Here they are. Just cut that down just like that. You see that there? So I just have a little bit of a tail here. And I learned this from another educator, great educator, is when you get to the end, so there's 2 ways. I'm going to go through this first way first, and then I will talk you through the second way of finishing up binding once we're done. But for this one, whenever you get about 7 inches from your end, which I'm going to have an overlap here because it is, I can actually cut that down a little bit more. It'll be easier. Once you get about 7 inches from your needle to the end of where you're sewing, let me cut this here. It's not going to be very clean, but that'll work. Okay. Right here, you're going to cut right here at the end of this little zigzag loop here. Because roughly from here to here is about 7 inches as well, and it's going to fill in this space. So what we're going to do, this is at a weird angle, y'all, sorry. We're going to undo this. Easier. Right here and about right there. We're just going to cut that right there. And it's just a straight edge there. And then we're going to put just a little bit of glue here on the end. Make sure y'all can see this. Just a little bit of glue on the end there. And we're going to fold that over. And what I learned with doing this, because it is a double fold, we'll still have a little piece that's going to fold up. So we're going to put a little bit of glue right here on the end as well. And just tack that down. And this is the same process that you would do it with the regular or with the original quilt binder as well. So this is what I've done on the other ones. We'll put this guy back in here just in case. There we go. Okay. And what it's going to do is we're going to end up just down here. I'm going to keep going and you'll see. Just 1 second. And I might actually have more. So I might have more than what I need now that I'm looking at it. We'll see. I may get to the end and have to stop so you can see. And I think, did that, it stayed folded. I haven't had issues with that unfolding, but just double check in there. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to make it to the end, but I'm going to keep going here so you can see. The only other, to Cindy's point, the only other thing that I have found with this process of finishing versus on this quilt binder versus the original is because it is bulkier, this right here, your part that's going underneath, let me see if I can scoot it in. Your part that's going underneath, you have to be a little bit more mindful of that. So I'm going to get my stiletto. You can get a stiletto or tweezers. And what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that our top binding is just pulled over. I'm sorry, y'all, I've got the camera in my way. That this is pulled over and that this is pushed under because we don't want to see that. Just like that. and we're going to hold it down. So I'm not going to go all the way because I won't have enough to finish here. But this process works better when you have a longer quilt or project you're working on. But this is what you would do. You would just finish sewing across, and I'll show you my original one too. Amy, if you'll switch back to me really quick. On my original one that I already have finished, here's my end here. You can see that I was able to, right here, finish it and just top stitch over the top just like that. So I'm going to pull this one out really quick, and I'm going to show you. Let me cut these threads here. I can go back and fix this. Like I've got all my threads here that I have to thread back in, but how quick and easy was that to do just a simple little pot holder? It took me probably about 10 minutes to stitch this out. I cut it out and I did the binding on it. And I did catch all of my backs on the back. You can see I've got all my threads that I have to tie in, but I did catch my corners. So again, it just takes some practice. It has taken me a little bit of practice too. It takes some playing with it. It takes time. Oh, my watch is going off on me. It heard me talking. But yeah, just practice with it. Don't get discouraged. Don't get frustrated. Feel free to watch this live back or any of our other past ones. I know Mickey has done one on Husqvarna Viking on that page on our YouTube channel. Visit your Viking sewing gallery. I know that they would love to sit down and work with you on this as well. So if there's not any questions on that, I'm going to move on to my next thing really quick. So the next thing we're going to do sequin stitches. So I'm going to let y'all look at me just for a second because I'm going to take off this whole quilt binder attachment here. And I know y'all probably want to watch me do that. But I love that this just folds up and can fit right back in the box as well. So if there are any questions right now that I can answer while I'm doing this or anything like that. Anything, what are y'all working on right now? What holiday projects? I would love to hear. I'd love some inspiration on some other things that y'all are working on right now for the holidays as gifts or for yourself, anything like that, or anything that's on your wish list. We'd love to hear that as well. Let's switch this. So for sequin stitches, we're going to switch over to that really quick. Amy, if you will switch back to my needle view for me, please. Thank you. So for sequin stitches, you're going to want to use an open toe foot. And again, these are great stocking stuffers. Add to your wish list. We have a metal one for the Designer Epic with that wider opening, the 9mm opening, again, where you can put your IDF down as well. We're going to take that up today just for those. And then there's a regular clear one as well. And this, I think, is the original 7mm, but this is the 9mm. So we're going to use that one today. And I'm going to switch out my bobbin thread and my regular thread to embroidery thread. When you're doing this, it's more like a decorative stitch, so you don't really necessarily need regular sewing thread. You can if you would like, though. Pre-wounds also. I love pre-wounds, and those you can add those to your wish list as well. And then we're going to switch our thread on top also. So it's really a preference if you want to match your thread to your sequins or to your ribbon. I like to match it to my ribbon. That way it really looks like my sequin stitches are floating in air. I love that. And I'm going to show y'all one of my top, I would say top 5 features of the Designer Epic 2. And I almost did it without even talking with you about it. So if you saw right here, let me show you again. We have our little tail of thread here. And it's going to go under these 2 bars and snap right in there. And there's a thread cutter right here. And I'm just going to bring it around and cut it. And then there's a button right here. And it's for threading your needles. So watch this. I'm going to get in close so you can see this. And I'm going to hit that button. Maybe. There we go. Just like that, y'all. This is one of my favorite things. I don't have to worry about threading it. It does it all for me, just like that. So we're going to take a piece of ribbon. I think I'm going to take my black one. So I've got ribbon, and I learned a little okay, I was looking at our little chat with our questions that come through. I'm sorry. I learned another trick from one of our other great educators, Miss Kathy, and I did ribbon earlier this year for something for work, and I struggled with it bunching up on me and looking like it puckered and whatnot. And Amy told me a little trick that Kathy uses where she takes her scraps of Aqua Magic and just soaks them in water, soaks the scraps of Aqua Magic, and then soaks her strips and just hangs them up to dry. And y'all, I don't know if you can tell. Let me find one. This one right here, you can tell this one was hanging on my rod. That's how stiff. It's not super stiff. I mean, it still moves, but it's definitely more stiff than it was when I just took it off of the roll. So I found that helpful. You can iron it also once it's done. Once it's dry, I wouldn't iron it while it's still wet, but you can iron it also. I am going to use some stabilizer behind it because this is a decorative stitch. And Amy, will you switch to my machine view with my screen? Was the foot being used for sequence toe, and there's a regular metal open toe as well. And I have the metal one on my machine today. So over here on some of our machines, we have these exclusive stitches. I love them. I'm going to go under the L menu on my designer. I picked two. I've got my glue over here. And if you scroll down a little bit, so I'll go through these a little bit here. We have applique stitches here where you can put fabric down and cut around them. And then we have fringe or pop-up stitches here. That's what those are there, the pop-up stitches. I love those. Those are some of my favorite. And there's an angel on there that would be super cute this time of year as well. And a little ballerina. I love those. And then we have our sequin stitches right down here. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I am going to do, I love these little loopy ones here. So I'm going to do these, not those. Hold on one second. That's not the one I wanted. This one here, this little guy here. So if you look, it's got the little loop and then these little tack downs here. This is where it's going to catch your sequins every time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slow my machine down first because we're going to use the start stop for this. If you're a beginner at using this, I strongly recommend using the start and stop. And then you also want to have your needle in the down position. So what we're going to do, we're going to put our foot down and our needle down. And I've got my, there we go. So I've got my ribbon under here, and I'm actually going to scoot it over a little bit because if you look at my stitch, Amy, you don't have to switch back, but my stitch looped like this, so it's going to start up at the top of that, and so I want to start closer to one side of my ribbon versus the bottom. You could do it that way. You just want to make sure that it catches that on the end and doesn't go off of your ribbon there. So we're going to start here. We're going to put our needle down and we're going to hit our start stop or our play stop button here. And I've slowed it down a little bit so it's not going too fast. And then it's going to stop. And you notice my presser foot raised up, my needle is down, and I'm going to take a sequin. And you want to use a couple tips with sequins here. Amy, if you'll switch over to me really quick, I'm going to show them a couple different sequin and what works and what doesn't work. So these right here, these little circle ones with the hole in the top, can you see that hole in the top there? These are great for some of the stitches, and you have to just look at the stitches to see which sequence works best for it. And there's smaller ones as well. I've got smaller hole circle ones with the hole in them, and then as well as just the regular circle ones. If y'all can see those, there's those as well. There are square ones. I have not dabbled too much in square ones, but I would think that you can do with the smaller square ones. You can do those as well. Amy, have you ever worked with the square ones? Let me know. Or has anybody worked with the square ones? How about that? As well as you want to have flat sequins. I know it's kind of hard sometimes to find flat sequins. You don't have to, it's just more helpful. But the circle sequence sometimes has like the raised edges on it, if you can see that right in there. And what happens with that is if you have it facing up, it kind of looks like a bowl or a cup, and it'll flip around and not get just right. So you want to flip it down so that it's more flat. That's a little trick. It tells you should only use the flat sequence, but you can use the others. You just kind of got to work around it. I have hole in the same spot. Yep, Amy's used the square ones and it's the same spot. So yeah, definitely try it that way as well. So if you'll go back to my machine view for me here, Amy. And what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our little circle ones here that I showed you, and our fancy stiletto, or you can use tweezers or anything like that. We're going to just place this right under here. My stiletto's catching it. We're going to make sure our presser foot's pushed down. And another tip for beginners is to roll your hand wheel. Again, whenever you roll your hand wheel, you always want to roll it towards you. It's the natural motion. And we want to put that needle in our hole first, right there, just so you can catch it. And what's helpful with this foot is the foot is stabilizing. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer here. The foot is stabilizing the sequence, so it's probably not going to move, but whenever you're learning the stitches or practicing new ones, this is a good habit just to get used to it, to see what it's going to do first before it snaps up. And we're just going to keep on going, and I'll do a couple more to show you. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. And you notice that it stopped there, and I actually used my presser foot, or my foot pedal. I didn't use my start stop on that one, but so you can do either or there. I'm going to use another red circle one, but a little bit smaller. So these are great. Let's talk about when this is great to use. This is great for adding to Christmas gifts. It is a labor of love, but it adds such a great little shine and sparkle to your boxes. I have found, because I have used this on a couple presents, I've found that if you have a box where the lid sits on top of the other one, just wrapping it around that top part of the lid versus the whole box, and then you don't have to do as much ribbon. And y'all, I will be honest with you, I was talking with somebody on social media about this yesterday, that it was really hard for me not to ask for that ribbon back when they had opened their present, because I was like, I worked really hard on that ribbon. Don't cut it. You got to love it. And so, and I know they appreciated it. They knew that there was a lot of love that had gone into that. So let me pull this around so y'all can see this a little bit here. Look at that, y'all. It adds such just a great little touch there that you can add to any of your presents this year, or you could add this on the bottom of your shirt. You know, I love sequins, but they could be considered a little bit gaudy in a way too. So you could add this to an ugly sweater for an ugly sweater party that you have coming up. Anything like that. These sequin stitches are great to add to. Just adds a little bit of extra sparkle. So let's do one more here. I can get this little guy to work with me. I don't think I got him in the right spot, but let's get him over. Okay, and again, I'm just going to turn my hand wheel so that my needle falls into that hole. And we're going to hit start and stop, just like that. Just like that. So if there's not any questions, I'm going to go on to our next thing. I'm really excited about these tags. I'm actually doing really good on time. I'm kind of proud of myself right now. So we're going to switch over. I'm just going to cut this here for now. But you can go to your local craft store and get all kinds of sequins. I'm trying to get that at a good angle so you can see that. And add that to any of your fun holiday gifts or accessories this year. So, Amy, if you will switch over to me really quick. So next I have gift tags. And so
there's a lot of different ways you can use gift tags. You can put one on a gift for if you're taking it somewhere that just says Happy Holidays. It doesn't have to say to or from anybody. I made this up and I was like, I kind of really like that. I'm going to, I don't know if you can see my fabric too. I've got a little bit of a shine fabric. I'm going to make one more of these. My kids always get like one big gift. I say big loosely from Santa. And so I might add this little gift tag to it. So I'm going to show you how to make these on your machine. You don't even have to do them in the software. They can be done in the software, but you can do them directly on your machine as well. So Amy, if you will switch over to my machine view, please.
All right. We are going to go to our embroidery mode here. And what we're going to do first, we're going to do design applique. So you have these little buttons down here. And again, if you're not sure what they are, I love, love, love that we have this question mark up at the top that we can hit and touch one of those icons, and it's going to tell me design applique. And I love this. It's going to take me to the instructions, and I can read all about it right in here, how to do it. As it comes up, and it's going to tell you all about it right in there. So if you ever have questions about it, or you're unsure how to do it, but you're wanting to try it, this would be the best route to go as well. So we're going to hit this little flower outline right here. And I'm going to choose, because I don't like just a normal, I mean, I did just a normal circle and I did an oval, but I kind of like different shapes, kind of like this guy here. I kind of wanted sort of like that tag look. And this was the closest thing I could get to it. But again, circles, ovals, you can do a square, stars, hearts. You could even do a letter if you really wanted to make, you could make a luggage tag with a letter as well. Like this, there's lots of endless options in here. We're going to do our gift tags today. So I'm going to choose this hexagon here, and we're going to unlock it. So if you notice right here down at the bottom, I have this lock and unlock. When it's locked, so it's going to proportionately just move it in and out. It's not going to change the size necessarily. It is just making it bigger or smaller. But But if I unlock it right here, what it's going to do is I'm going to be able to make it skinnier but wider, or taller but more narrow. You know, there's so many different options right there. So I'm actually going to make it a little bit more flat like that. And we're just going to hit the, oh, you know what I didn't do, y'all? Hold on. I left one step out. Let's go back up here. Go back to our hexagon. I'm getting ahead of myself here. We have to add in what kind of stitch we want. I love this. We get 3 different options. So we can do a regular satin stitch right there, and there's like a tiny, a more smaller one versus a wider one there. You can see it gets a little bit wider. There's a sort of, it's more like a zigzag. I don't know, Amy, is there a word for this stitch that's on here? It's not really as, it's because this is a zigzag, the satin one, but this is like an offset. It's kind of like a heartbeat stitch, really, where it's little and then it's big and it's little and it's big. You know, then if there's a name for that stitch. And then we have the little star stitch here. And also you've got the big or the little that you can do there. And you notice that the big ones just get a little bit closer together. I prefer the little, and I just normally like just the plain satin. She said to call it the grassy stitch. That's a good idea, the grassy stitch. So we've named it the grassy stitch, y'all. So we're going to do just our regular stitch right here, and then we're going to hit our check mark there. And there it is. And I have already, what you can do now, there's a couple different options. You can either go up to your fonts here, and what I love is you can choose your sewing fonts. Those are options, as well as all of your embroidery fonts that are right in here. But I've already created one for today. So I'm actually going to go to my favorites, my file, and right here, Happy Holidays. Nope, not that one. I'll show you that one in a minute. We want this one right here. We're going to click and hold, and there it is, right in there. And I noticed that my tag is a little bit bigger than what I want. So we're just going to adjust it down a little bit more here. The feathered satin, oh, I like that too, the feathered satin stitch. I like that one, Linda. That's a great option as well. So we're going to make it just a little bit smaller to fit right in here. And I can tell you because, oh, why are you not moving now? I think I've already made it as small as I can there. That's why. What you can do as well is you can just put in your design first that you're going to use. So we're going to take him out. This is another option. This is what I did for one of my other options last night when I was creating some of them. Is my design or my phrase, my to, my from, whatever it may be, is already in there. And then I'm going to select my size that I want. And then we can move it around that. And we can move it too, just to get it where we want it. Just like that. I like that right there, I think. And again, we're going to choose our little smaller, narrow satin stitch there. We're going to hit our check mark. And then this is another great feature, and I don't think people always remember it. You can pull in your sewing stitches into embroidery to sew them out. And so we are going to choose, everybody always use buttonholes, but I want to use an eyelet. We don't talk about eyelets that often or when to use them. We have a single hole one here. We have a teardrop one here. And then we have a little oval one here. And that's the one I just preferred. I felt like it was easier for what I was doing to cut out with the oval. And you can adjust it too. And then I turned my oval on this one vertical versus horizontal. So we're going to put our little oval up there and we're going to rotate it. So we've got it selected, and right down here we're going to choose this little arrow here and we're going to rotate it just 90 degrees. And then we can adjust it right in there. And right over here is going to be my little window with all my designs and stuff. We can adjust where we want them as well. And sometimes it automatically puts it where it thinks you want it, so you can just move the arrows up and down, left and right where you would like it. Just like that. So happy holidays. Super easy, super quick. You can, since we're here, I'm going to show you a couple things. I like things to be in the order that I want them to stitch out in. So we actually want, this is an applique. So we want this applique to be first. So right here, you've got these little arrows up and down. You can move it. So we want our applique to be first. And what an applique, and I can talk through this with you too. With an applique, it's going to do a placement stitch first. So it's just going to do a running stitch all around this entire design. You're going to place your fabric down, and then it's going to do a tack down stitch. It's going to stop. What I love about this is it starts and stops when it's supposed to, even though it's only technically one design. So it's going to stop, and I'm going to place my fabric down, and then I'm going to hit start again. And what it's going to do is it's going to do basically a reinforced stitch back and forth, and that's going to be your tack down stitch. Once it's done, it's going to stop there, and you're going to take your hoop off of your machine, and you're going to cut around it as close as you can, but you want to make sure you don't cut those threads. Cut off that excess fabric, and then you're going to place it back on your machine and hit start again. That's when it's going to do that satin stitch there. So appliques are some of my favorite things to do. Super easy, super simple to do. So you can tell I did this on felt, and I used like a red satin on this one. This one I just did straight on the felt. I didn't do an applique on this one, and I wanted to show you a few different options. And then this one here I added as well. And I used like a stiff felt. I didn't use just the regular craft felt. You can get the stiff felt also at your local craft stores. They don't have it in as many colors. So I love that you can make it into an applique to add in that color and that sparkle with it. So that's why we want that to be first, because if we did Happy Holidays first, you'd stitch out Happy Holidays onto your felt, and then you'd put your fabric on top of it, and that wouldn't look right, would it? So we want to make sure that our applique is positioned first, and then I just do my eyelet next, because most of the time my eyelet is going to be the same color as my satin. You can change it if you want, but I like them to sort of be coordinating. And then I'm going to do my Happy Holidays, and we're going to group these together. So I'm going to hit this button here, and again, if you're not sure what these buttons are, you're going to hit your question mark and touch the button there. So what it is, it's multi-selecting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these designs, and then this one right here, this third one down, this is the grouping. And you notice that those 3 designs turned into one. And then we're just going to deselect right there. And you can select your hoop that it would fit in. If you wanted to do a bunch of these, so another great option, we have an awesome new 200 by 200 metal hoop. You could duplicate these and make a bunch of them and stitch them all out if you're going to a couple different holiday parties, or if you wanted to create a bunch of these for your grandkids and have to and from and have each of their names, you could do multiple stitch outs there. So we can place it around. So what we're going to do is we're going to select here and then duplicate it there. And you can move it around, or you can even turn it just like that and place it. That way you're getting more placed into one, and just move them around up and down like that. Super simple and easy, and you can get multiple tags done within one hooping. And the reason I suggested the metal hoop is because with the metal hoop and felt, you don't have to hoop it or anything like that. So you can magnetize the felt to the hooping, and it just works a lot easier that way. So are there any questions on this so far? If not, I have a few minutes. Can you show how to save the design? Yes. So if we had, let me add in, I'm going to add in a couple more of these just so y'all can see. So what I did to get those 4 little bubbles to pop up is I'm clicking and holding. I'm just holding my finger here, and you can duplicate it. You can put it in the trash. You can window and mirror it. Those are your options there. And you just slide your finger to what you want it to do. So we are going to, again, rotate that around and place him. And if you notice, look at that. Did you see that yellow line that pops up? I love that it centers. I'm sort of OCD about things like that, and it will center it all for me. Go back up. And what I have over here, I have multi-select still on. That's why it's selecting that just like that. So we're going to add in a couple more here so I can make use of these, because I will probably make some of these and stitch them out and add them to gifts. And then you can just space them out how you want here too. You do want to leave a little bit of room because you are going to cut them. And if you notice, I used pinking shears on some of them, and then I just used straight cutting. You can get a little bit closer. You can make it wider. It's really just your preference. So just like that. So to save, what we're going to do is right down here, we have these hearts. So I'm going to click the one heart there, and it's going to pop up. And then I'm going to type in gift tags. And we're going to do 2 because I already have a gift tag in there, just like that. And there it is. It's successfully saved. So to find that, let me get rid of these guys first. We're going to just trash them all. We're going to come up to our little folder up here at the top. And right down here, again, my folder's selected. And, oh, right up here. Here they are. There's my gift tags. And we're going to click and hold. And there they are. Pop up right there, just what I created. So I was going to show you a few that I had done. I had found a couple designs in the My Sonnet library, and I'll show them to you on these, that I had taken apart. So this holly was not originally a single holly. It was like 4 or 5 of them that were, it's kind of like a little border. And I took it apart and just took one of them so that I could have a little holly in there. And this little bow came out of the library. I didn't do anything separate with him. I just added him into this one. And then the same with this Santa hat. I wanted a Santa hat for this one, and it had a little bear with it. And I just took him into the software under Modify and took the bear out and just did the little Santa hat. And I sent it directly to my machine, and it pops up in here. But you can also find, let me show you. So if I type in Santa, because on our Wi-Fi enabled machines, you have access to the MySewNet library. I love this. So I could have taken the design where I got this hat and put it in here, but I wouldn't have been able to take that bear out. So that's why I took it into the software first. So right here is this little bear that I use. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Where did he go? See this way? There he is. So I took this little bear right here, and that's where my Santa hat came from. I just took it out of the software and added it in there just like that. So any questions on that? Anything else there? Wanted to show one more thing. Oh, I don't want that. I want to go to my library. Another great holiday addition to anything besides tags. If you didn't want to do tags, you could make little lace ornaments, and they can be ornaments for your tree. They could be lace for, I'm going to type in lace Christmas here and see if I can get it narrowed down a little bit more. Let me add a space. You could add them to a card. You could add, just add it with a ribbon around the front of the card in that way. There are some smaller ones as well, and they're white in here. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm going to zoom in here, Amy. So they can hopefully see. I can see these here. There's so many great different lace ornament options, and they're good sizes that you could just add them to a gift as well. If you wanted to add a gift tag, if you're going to a white elephant where it didn't need a name tag or anything like that, you could just do a fun little lace ornament on there. There are also some mini ones. There's some red ones so you can see a little bit better. There are also some mini ones that you can turn into little earrings. Where are my mini ones at? But look at all of these. So many different lace options. And it just keeps on going. It even turns it into all different things there. Narrows it down. So any questions on that? I just love that I can get all of the designs within the software, or not within the software, within the library right here on my machine, and just use them if I wanted to just use them as is. Amy, if you want to switch back to me, please. Thank you.
Not any questions, just a couple things. A reminder for next month, we do have one more Husqvarna Viking live. It's going to be next Wednesday, December 7th at 2 p.m. Central, and Wendy's going to be doing it. She's one of our great new educators. She's going to be talking about tucks, gathers, and ruffles. She does a lot of really fun accent things, and I love her live, so it's a great one to join. And then our next MySewNet Live is the following Wednesday, December 14th at 2 p.m. Central with Mickey, and she's going to be doing the Family Tree Wizard. I think it's great during the holidays to really reflect on your family, and she's going to be adding all that in and showing you how to use that. This is my last live for Viking Sewing Gallery for the year. The next one lands on the week of Christmas, and we want you to be spending time with your family or with your new machine if you got a new machine for the holidays, things like that. So enjoy that time. And again, thank you so much for being with us today and throughout the year. We really do appreciate all of you and all of the support that you give with us and the inspiration you share with us. And so I will see y'all in the new year. Thank you so much.